Imagine this. Your house burns down or your partner passes away and you call your insurance company and the claim gets denied. No payout, no safety net, just loss. It sounds extreme, but it happens every day. Insurance policies are full of exclusions that leave people vulnerable. That's why My Policy Advocate exists. They review your coverage, uncover gaps, and explain everything in plain English. They don't sell insurance. They help you understand what you already have. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and protect what matters most.
Welcome back to Hidden Florida and Beyond, a podcast about unexpected people, untold stories, real conversations that happen just beneath the surface, and the moments that usually come with someone saying, you probably can't talk about this. I'm Frankie.
I'm Amelia.
I'm John.
Mickey.
What? That was
I don't
so
know
sad.
why I
Are
just
you
saw
okay?
Mickey, you so fine. You so fine. You blow my mind.
Everyone's
Hey,
so
Mickey.
excited to be here, and then Mickey's like, hey, Mickey.
Hey,
You
Mickey.
good? Hungover a little bit? What's going on?
There was a chip in my throat.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
now you're eating on the job.
Jesus.
What is wrong with you? I'm kidding, Mickey.
Okay.
Really excited. I feel like we're 2 for 2 on lawyers, attorneys. I don't know what the difference is between a lawyer and an attorney. Does anybody know?
No.
Is there a difference?
A prosecutor,
No, that's different.
defendant.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
different.
any of that stuff. It's
A
all
lawyer
legal
has to
jargon.
pass the bar, right?
I think they all have
Yeah,
to
but they
pass
all
the
have
bar.
So does an attorney.
But there's a difference. No, what's the difference?
No.
No, a prosecutor and an attorney both have to pass the bar.
Oh, sorry.
So what's the difference between a lawyer and an attorney?
Ask ChatGPT.
I think-
Versus, that's what I'm getting at right now.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me ask my assistant. What's the difference between
Lawyers are like yelling at their
lawyer
phone right now.
I
and
think they're the
attorney? I know
same
someone
thing.
listening right now is, I'm an attorney. You guys are idiots. Lawyer, anyone who has a law degree. Attorney, a lawyer who passed the bar and is licensed to practice.
Ah.
There it is. You learn. See, this is an educational podcast, guys. I told you. Can we get funding now, like PBS? So we have another attorney today, and I feel like every time we have an attorney, they come with some wild stories.
I know.
Like we have Eric Schwartzreich. Got it.
Yes, you got it.
Okay, Eric. He's basically the attorney that like a villain in Gotham would call.
Yeah.
Right? Did
Great
you get that
description.
vibe?
Yeah.
Like if the Joker needed an attorney, he would call this guy because I don't know. He's just coming with some creative ways of like helping people. Do we
Mobsters?
say
He's like a superhero.
yeah, when
in
he
a
brought,
sense.
he like just casually glazed over the facts. He's like, I've represented some cartel members and some mobsters, and I'm like,
and some
excuse
Russian
me?
dudes who try to kill me.
Oh yeah, the Russian
Yeah.
dudes. That's right. He did say yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got some incredible stories. He also talked about losing his very first case.
And
But
the guy's
wife's-
still in jail.
Wife's
right now.
cousin. I mean,
That's pretty rough.
We'd
That's
have beef
wild.
every Thanksgiving. Sorry, you
you
remember you
imagine?
got me locked up, you bootleg
No,
lawyer.
now they have to do a Zoom call with him every Thanksgiving. He's like, that's the guy that got me locked up in here. I'm glad you guys are enjoying turkey with him. That's cool. But I mean, even though he did lose his first case, clearly he had an exceptional career following that because he was here with us talking about all the craziness he's done over the years. I think his exact or close to exact words, I'm going to paraphrase, were some of the craziest like law cases come out of Florida.
And he's happy to be practicing
And he
here.
enjoys
Yeah.
doing it, like representing these people.
He said he
And-
wins like 85% of cases or something, and he has a lot
I
of
can tell.
clients.
Just look at the people driving around us every day. We already know everybody's half nuts. You're crazy, crazy in Florida.
So he was cool. And then obviously, like, if you're listening to the podcast, you couldn't see him. Very much a showman, right?
yeah.
Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
said he wanted to be in Hollywood, but you could tell from the way he showed up and kept talking about his dye job and his hair. I don't think it looked bad. Did you
Do you
think it
think
looked bad?
he said it wasn't dyed? So
No, he said it was.
definitely
It
dyed.
was, right?
And even
It
if he said it
definitely was.
wasn't, it 100% was.
He
Right.
just likes to make fun of himself. You know, it's easier to make fun of yourself because he knew Frankie had it. Frankie mentioned his dye job 4 or 5 times.
No, because he started it.
Embarrassing.
He
Because you have
started it.
black natural hair here.
It's not my fault I'm pretty.
I don't see a gray in sight. Let me cover my.
Not any grays. That's true.
Please,
You-
everyone stop looking at me. Now
What,
I'm feeling
you wanna know
self-conscious.
something?
I can't wait till
My-
you guys have kids.
My dad didn't want to ever say
Yes.
that he colored his hair, so
Yes.
he didn't have to say, oh, I don't color my hair, you know? So he would have me as a kid, and this is no word of a lie, get a Sharpie.
Stop it.
He had black hair.
Stop it.
And I would have to, he goes, come over here, color this one. It's great. I would color my dad's hair with a black Sharpie to make it look like it was not dyed.
Wouldn't that just wash off after like a shower
yeah,
or two?
Wow.
yeah, but before work, come over here, Dad, I'll just Sharpie my head
Do
a
they
little
not
bit.
have like just for men in Australia?
They do.
Listen.
He just didn't want to say, I dye my hair.
She was doing God's work. Okay.
Yeah.
The Lord's work.
Such
Well,
a
thank
lovely,
you,
coloring.
Amelia.
such a lovely daughter.
Contributing to society.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right, well, let's get into it right now with Eric Schwartzreich. So, Eric, how do I say your last name? Because I tend to butcher names. It's like a bit on the show.
I think that it's Schwartzreich because that's a true story. I say Schwartzreich because I think that sounds strong, like Schwartzreich. But half my family says Schwartzreich, but I go with Schwartzreich.
What's the correct?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm telling you, half the cousins are like Schwartzreich. The other half, my family's like Schwartzreich. So I think we're right. They can go fuck themselves. I'm sticking with Schwartzreich.
And we're off to a great start. I'm just going to call you Eric because the last name's tough for me.
Eric.
Everybody
Eric's
say hi to Eric right now.
Hi, guys. Hello. We all need name tags here. Are we recording? Has this started yet?
Been recording.
All right, that's good.
ABR, always be rolling.
Great.
That's Amelia's thing. She likes to just be rolling all the time.
Yeah.
And Heather is so sneaky, our producer. She'll just hit record. There's probably a lot of stuff we've talked about in here that should not have been recorded, but it already has, and we could probably get in a lot of trouble.
See, I'm telling you, these NDAs, even if there was an NDA, you can't trust it.
Well, you started with that. Okay, so I've signed a lot of NDAs. Amelia, have you signed a couple NDAs in your lifetime?
Yeah, you don't work in media without getting NDAs.
And you said something about, like, they don't really hold up? Is that kind of what you said?
I'm not saying they don't necessarily hold up, but as a lawyer, I'm telling you, an NDA, great freaking idea. The problem is, as you see, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. So we will see that there'll be an NDA. You see these a lot in these high-profile cases where there's an allegation of some celebrity in a hotel room, and maybe it's sex or consensual sex, and they sign an NDA, and then all of a sudden there's a lawsuit, there's an indictment. That NDA comes into court. I've seen that pierced veiled, and I've seen it discussed. So you got to be careful with an NDA. The point is, just because there's an NDA doesn't mean that it's not going to be disclosed. It protects you as much as it could, but it's proof behind who was behind the NDA. That's who you have to worry about.
Can't they, like, take something from you if you sign it? Like, can't you get...
can, okay, so sometimes you lose your money. You got an NDA. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get this penalty. But they'll be like, okay, I'm going to make more by disclosing that NDA. It's going to be more high profile, and they'll take the consequences. So I have seen that. We've seen cases in the media, high profile cases where an NDA, it's a great idea. They can hold up, but they don't always do. So you might have been recording me earlier, but just because you folks have an NDA, surprise, surprise, they don't always hold up.
There was a kid's book years ago, A Series of Unfortunate Events, where in the first book, she signed with not her right hand, her left hand, so it nulled the contract that she signed. That was like the twist at the end of that first book. You probably have no idea what I was talking about because it was like a kid's book when I was like 10.
I know one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
Yeah, Cat in the Hat and
I know green eggs and ham.
There you go. He knows the classics.
Yes, I am.
Is that a thing that if I don't sign it with my right hand and I'm right-handed, it doesn't count?
No.
Is there anything?
Whether what the intent is, was it signed? It doesn't matter if you're ambidextrous and you sign with your left hand and your right hand. I mean, who was it, Van Gogh, or who was the artist with the foot? No, ear. But who was the artist that could only use their feet in paintings? I mean, if they could sign with their feet, if you sign it, you sign it. Some contracts don't even have to be in writing. Land contracts, if it's a contract about land, anything for land has to be in writing. Certainly a good idea to have a contract in writing, but left foot, right foot, blue foot, doesn't matter.
Is there something that would void it?
I'm calling foul on the left hand versus right hand signature.
It was a kid's book.
Is there anything that would void it, though? Like, if isn't it stuff like if you're under distress?
If it's a child, yes, of course. Contracts can be voided for competency if someone was not competent and didn't have the mental wherewithal at the time. If someone is a minor,
but how do you prove that?
Infancy.
How do you prove that someone wasn't mentally all there? Do you need like witnesses to say, yeah, that guy was out of his mind?
Someone's going to come forward and say that person wasn't competent, or infancy of age. Be careful. You never want to have an infancy defense. And I said that as a criminal defense lawyer, but the point is infancy means that a contract with a minor, without having an adult signing, cannot enter into a contract. So that's a way to void a contract, whether or not someone was competent, whether or not the contract was conscionable or unconscionable. It was a contract that was so crazy, outrageous, that never should have been entered to. That's a way to void it. Are we looking to void contracts? Because I can tell you guys know how to get arrested.
I feel like we've been talking a lot about contracts, and he's like,
I'm ready to void. I'm voiding what Heather had me sign right now.
So here's what we did.
Sign that with my left hand.
We told you you're going to be a guest on the podcast, but really we just wanted your legal expertise without having to pay the $6 billion an hour that you charge.
You got it.
So
done deal.
Okay, for real though, talk to me about your career as a criminal defense lawyer. Where did it all start?
It started, 30 years ago. I can't believe I say that. I went to boarding school for high school, and I was accused of something I didn't do. I was with another student.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, but I really didn't do it.
Okay.
Who was smoking pot, and the school accused me of smoking pot with him, and they were going to kick me out of the school. I'm like, it's crazy. I didn't smoke pot. Not, at least not then. I wasn't, statute of limitations.
Yeah.
No one cares about marijuana anymore. But I didn't. And these teachers like accused me of smoking the marijuana. I almost got kicked out of the school, and it really stuck with me. And then I had an advisor, a teacher at the boarding school. I was like young, I was 15 years old, who stuck up for me, was an advocate for me. And I always wanted to be an actor. I was a frustrated actor. My grandfather, who was very close with, said, you become an actor, I'm going to wash my hands of you. I wanted to go to Los Angeles, make movies. I was a lot younger, didn't have to color my hair, much better looking at the time. And he was a lawyer and a businessman, and he said, come be a lawyer. You can write, you can direct. And the fact also that that teacher had stood up for me at that time just was always in my mind, like, you know what, I'm going to follow my grandfather because he was going to cut me off from the money. I was inspired, and I wanted to go to law school. Ended up did an MBA, met my wife in law school, and ended up working at the public defender's office. This great public defender of Broward County, Al Schreiber. The guy was freaking crazy. It's before the world of like social media, and he would like travel to Vegas, and he'd take us to Vegas, and we'd go on these conferences, and I don't really know if they were conferences and what we did out there, except just go to like see shows and gamble. And we did go to some seminars back then, but he really like just took a liking to me. He paid me when I was in law school, when I was interning for him, and I love doing criminal defense. I started a firm with 5 other partners. Now it's just me and some associates. I got some high-profile cases, and I love it. You know, some days I'm the fly. I've said this before on podcasts. Some days I'm the windshield, but for the most part, like every day, I love what I do.
It's pretty performative when you're in the courtroom, right?
Absolutely.
So what was your first case that you ever took on?
My wife's cousin, when I was a public defender, and I lost the trial, and he ended up going to jail. And then he asked me to smuggle him cigarettes into the jail. I didn't do that. I'd take the fifth on that. It was like 30 years ago.
I feel like
it was
I
a
would have
DUI.
felt bad and been like, all right, let me try to get him
felt a little
some.
bad.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
I experimented on him. And
Poor guy. He's just finding out now.
is he still in jail right now?
yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's actually in federal prison for my great legal work there.
Wow.
Wait, couldn't we ask what the case was about?
It was a DUI. And it was a high breath, and it was a car accident, and he wanted me to take the case to trial, and I did, and I tried everything I could, and the jury like came back like 5 minutes guilty. So that was a lesson.
They didn't even give him a chance.
Yeah, well, so to me, right, like I take it personally. I don't like losing cases. Lately, in my later career, I really haven't lost too many cases. I lose cases. You know, the greatest home run hitters have the biggest strikeouts. I go to trial a lot. I've been to trial over 200 times. But my track record over the past 10 years, and I think it's from experience, and there's serious cases I do now, from white-collar crimes to DUI manslaughters to homicides, is probably like around 85%, if not higher, record of winning and getting acquittals on some tough cases. So you learn. So my wife's cousin, the guinea pig, he's helped me tremendously. A shame for him. What a Shonda, we like to say. But me, you know, I've done well.
Well, when you
from him.
start at such a low point, it's only up from there, right? I
That's
mean, you
true.
started
That's
at rock
true.
bottom. You can only claw your way back up.
I did.
When you say win in these cases, what does that necessarily mean?
So, Mickey, that's an excellent question, right? Because you know what not guilty means, guys? What's it mean?
That I didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
Nah, it means
According to the
not,
court, I didn't do
means
it.
not proven. We'll tell clients, you know what, not guilty, but it means not proven because a prosecutor has the burden of proof, has to come into a courtroom and prove that someone committed a crime beyond the highest burden, right, beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they don't do that, if we stop that, you know, if they're not sure if the person was behind the wheel at the time someone was killed, or if the person did it in self-defense, or if it wasn't self-defense, if they have that reasonable doubt, which we try to create for the jury, they're found not guilty, which means not proven. If the case gets dismissed, sometimes that's better than a not guilty because it means that the prosecution gave up on it or didn't have a reason to go forward absent giving a diversion program or an option to enter into an agreement and get charges dropped. But it just means not proven. And what do we do when we go into the courtroom? We put up the defense. I believe in being honest. I believe in being myself. This is how I am in front of a jury. You know what? Are great jurors when they're doing what? When do you think you've got a jury? When they're
Not asleep.
That's good. So I've had sleeping jurors, but no, when they're
wait,
laughing.
hold on, time out. Have you really had
But
them
I don't
like
take that
nod
person.
off?
Yeah, because no one wants jury duty. When someone gets their jury summons,
I've had jury duty.
see, Mickey doesn't want it. Anyone here want to go to jury duty? I do.
I'm gonna be
Because-
honest. I've never done it, so I'd like an invitation one day. But I want like a good case. Can I tell them like, call me when it's like a murder
Yeah, you
or
don't
like
get to pick,
drug
but
cartel?
it'd be nice. But we'll
Yeah.
make sure you get a good case.
Okay.
We'll put in a call. We'll make that
Thanks.
happen.
How long
appreciate
does that last, though? Isn't it like a week commitment?
I've had trials that have been for 3 months.
Months.
I've had
Oh.
trials
They
that have
sequester you,
been
right?
for a day. Well, I've never had
SAT word.
I don't know if I've ever had a sequestered jury. Maybe one. That means when the jurors don't have any contact with the outside world. That tends to happen when there's some concern that there'll be some undue influence or someone will get to the jurors
Like a
or it's
mob
high
case
profile.
where they don't want them
so
to
I've
go
had
and, like-
mob cases. I've had cartel cases.
Yikes.
I've had all kinds of cases, right? I mean, short, skinny, tall, fat. I mean, judges I've represented, athletes, famous athletes I've represented, actors I've represented, some people I can't name because
Nefarious
they come to
people.
me in the beginning and we get the charges dropped. But what jury duty, no one wants to serve on a jury. No one wants to be there. And I like to be, when jurors are in there, I want to make them laugh. I want to make them happy, even when it's a difficult, sensitive situation. When you can get them laughing and on your side, that's always usually
Do you
a good
think
sign.
you've won cases just by being charming out there?
A few.
Yeah?
A few, and I know that sounds awful. You know what's crazy about our justice system? In Florida, 6 jurors, if it's not a capital case or if it's not a murder case or if you're not in federal court, you can have the same set of facts. 6 jurors can find someone not guilty, not proven, and another 6 jurors on the same set of facts can find that same person guilty. So how is it really about guilt or innocence? It's about perception and what someone's willing to buy. And as trial lawyers, I don't want to say what we can sell because you want to be honest, because if you're not honest with a juror or jurors, you're done. You're done before you get into that courtroom. But yes, sometimes if there's not a dead body, because dead body cases,
That's
you're not
it.
just going to
Yeah,
win if
there's
you're
no way.
charming. But sometimes, yes, when it's close, I think, maybe I'm freaking delusional, and I do think I'm delusional, that charm has worked. I don't know. Maybe it's the coloring my hair, or I don't know.
He really
So-
loves talking
But-
about his hair.
I do.
The
I
acting
do.
classes.
I feel it.
No, but yes, but you can't act in there. It is. And I was also teaching. So Von Freeman, his son, who's in the room as well, you know, Von's a rock star. His son, Chase Freeman, was one of my favorite students. And I don't just say this. Your son is a rock star, by the way. He's a politician, the way he talks, the way he carries himself, he can do anything. He's like Von. And I was teaching mock trial. I would teach my students. Mock trial is a weird thing where you teach high school students, they do fake trials, and we won competitions, major competitions with your son, Von. To be real, you got to be yourself. So acting classes are good, and you can be this or whatever this is that I'm saying, but you have to be honest. You have to be real, because if the judge doesn't believe you and you've got no credibility, you're going nowhere. People hate lawyers anyway. They think we're a used car salesman before you even walk into a courtroom.
What's the difference between a good mock trial and a great mock trial?
The students, sometimes they would say it's coaching. Like I did it for close to 20 years, and there are some people that have a je ne sais quoi. Did I say that right?
Yeah, sounds good.
That you
I only
can't
took
teach
like 3
things
years
to,
of
right?
French, but yeah.
I'm awful at French, right? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Christina Aguilera?
Is that the song? Should we all sing that
yeah.
together?
Lady
Something
Mama.
No one wants to hear me. Yeah, there you go. No one wants to hear me sing. But it's the students, right? Like there are some students that have that it factor. There are some lawyers, some doctors, there are some people that have that it factor. You can't teach it. Some things you can't teach in law school, you can't teach in med school, you can't teach in communication school or radio. It's people that have that it factor. So what makes a good mock trial team were having lots of students that had the it factor. And the years where I had the Chase Freemans and many other students like Chase, there weren't as many, we would do well and be successful because those students got it quickly and they knew how to put it on, a lot of what we do, even mock trial, real trial, let me entertain you. It's about entertaining people.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love, now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
In upstate South Carolina, every season brings new possibilities. Here, career paths in engineering, IT, finance, and healthcare connect with a lifestyle that feels just right, whether you're building your future or looking for a fresh start. As the air turns crisp and pace slows just enough, you'll find space to connect, recharge, and grow. Make your move to a region that inspires you all year long. Visit moveupstatesc.com. Upstate South Carolina, where fresh starts meet fulfilling futures.
How often is someone that comes to you guilty and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I got to figure this out. Because I have to imagine you kind of can figure out after doing this for so long when someone's guilty and you got to come up with a plan to get them off,
In theory,
right?
you're not meant to take those cases,
Right.
right?
So first question is how much money you can pay me? No,
Nice.
I just tease.
I like
so the
that.
bar has rules on that, right? Like not rules on how much money they're going to pay you, but there are a lot of people that they come to them like, shit, this person is fucked. And I don't want to tell them that. I'm honest and I'm a straight shooter, right?
Well, do you tell them that when they come up like, dude, I'm looking at the evidence right now.
I'm honest.
I don't know if I could do
But-
this, but I'll try.
If you approach anything in life and you say no matter how difficult the challenge is that you can't do this or that it's impossible, you will never accomplish it. So I am delusional. My wife always says I'm delusional, but I believe I can win any case, that any safe can be cracked, any safe can be open, any nut can be cracked, any drawer can be open, that you can win anything. There's a way. You have to find the way. That's why I got Mila, my wife, to marry me. So when someone is fucked and the case and the facts are that bad, I will be honest with them because you want to be honest with your clients, but I look for the positives. I'm not a traditional thinker. I'm more, probably as you can tell, I'm more of a creative guy, and I look for the other angles, or like Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. What's the famous line? I see
Dead people.
Dead
There you go. I like to think that like sometimes I see dead people, or I like to see things or other angles that other lawyers don't, and I find a way. So even though I know someone might be difficult, whether it's on a mitigation path to try and mitigate to get a lesser, you don't want to have cancer, but maybe you'll end up with like a migraine headache, or maybe, to me, I want to win everything. Like my wife's cousin's case that I lost, I hate freaking losing. I take everything personally.
That was 30
So
years ago and you're still thinking about it.
I am.
Yeah.
As a trial lawyer, I think the best trial lawyers is you blame yourself for it, even though you didn't do what your client did. Like, I put it on me. Like, I have to win. I have to convince these jurors, or these jurors don't believe me. So I will be honest with my clients, but we've won some impossible cases. We've had some high-profile cases afterwards.
The more lawyers that we talk to, the more we realize it takes a level of creativity to win some of these cases. It's not just like, look at the book, this is what it says, okay, now I know what to do. They're coming up with like genius ways. I don't want to say to bend the law, but to convince the right people to get whatever the end goal is that they want.
Johnny Cash, right? I'll walk the line. We don't cross it. You walk the line, but you walk right up to that line. But to me, and I don't think people would look at me and think that's your traditional looking lawyer. Right now, my hair is growing a little bit.
It's dyed.
They think it's not dyed. This is real. Why does everyone keep saying that? But to me, real lawyers are just themselves and creative. And Frankie, to your point, think out of the box. You have to, and you have to be creative, and you walk that line. Don't cross it, because we don't do that ethically, but you got to be creative. And every one of my cases that I've had success on, and I've had a lot of cases that have been covered on Dateline, on this A&E show, Accused, Guilty or Not Guilty, this young woman who was coming home from Rocco's Tacos, and she wasn't speeding, she wasn't drinking, she wasn't drugging, she was going home, and someone walked in the middle of the street. We've all had that here in Broward County, right?
It happens a lot.
It happens all the time. And she hits him, and she panics, and she's a young girl, and she goes like 1,000 feet, makes a right turn, and her car stops, and the prosecution wanted 4 years in prison, and they wanted to lock her up, and like they arrested her 2 years later for leaving the scene of an accident with death because she didn't stop 1,000 feet
right
earlier,
away.
and she stopped when she could. So we came up with an honest defense. There was a little creativity in that, and some entertainment where the prosecution kept saying you could have stopped here, you could have stopped there. And there was a place called Booby's Love Trap. And anyone remember that? It's no longer
Booby's
on US
what?
1.
Love Trap.
Booby's Love Trap.
Is it a gentleman's club?
No, it was on US 1. It was a sex store where you can get like a dildo and a milkshake.
I was
on a Friday
close.
night.
and a milkshake?
I don't know.
I don't know
I
about
don't know
the
about the
milkshakes
milkshake.
there. I'll be honest with you. Okay.
But anyway, I tease about the milkshake. But the prosecution's in the courtroom, and they're faulting this young girl for. And who do you think hangs out in front of a sex store where they sell like dildos and milkshakes in the middle of the night? Because this accident was at night. Like, seedy freaking people. And the prosecution's like put up a map, and they like hide that there was a sex store at the time. Like, why didn't you stop here? And they don't say it's a sex store. So
Not
of course
safe.
I blow up the Boobies like love trap thing, and I bring it in there. I'm like, oh, what was here? And then the cops, the detective's like, Boobies Love Trap. I'm like, what is that? She's like, it's a sex store? What do they sell there? Dildos and milkshakes? She didn't say that. So you wanted her to stop here, this young woman. So I don't think that's something most lawyers would have gone down that angle, but That's something I did. And the jurors were loving it, and they were laughing, and they thought it was ridiculous.
And
we
worked.
had them as soon as the sex shop came up. No, but that case.
But that's a valid point, though. Like, that is kind of a sus
It's
place to stop
stupid.
at, even after
It's
you just
ridiculous.
did something crazy. You mentioned A&E and a couple of these other channels and stuff. Have you been on TV?
I have.
Okay.
You were just on Newsmax not that long
So
ago.
I do a lot
Were you
of.
watching?
I love it. I love that you guys do a little bit of research. It's good.
I looked you up on LinkedIn.
Try.
Because I post everything. Because I have an ego. I'd post my birth certificate if I could.
Yeah.
So
What's
I
your
do a
social?
lot of. We won't give that out.
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
can give that out. I do a lot of like court TV, Newsmax. I've done CNN, Fox News. I like doing that. That's the frustrated actor in me, and that's my ego. So it's a vanity thing, and clients like seeing it. You know, I'm always cautious when I tell clients, oh, you're on TV, you must be really good. Just say you can't gauge that. I mean, ask other lawyers, ask the bar, call the Broward Bar, ask around, look at track record, speak to other lawyers. Don't go just because someone's on TV if they're a good lawyer. But I love being on TV. It feeds my ego. And the media has changed, right? Radio's changed, TV's changed, podcasting, that's the new format. You know why I love this? Because I
You can
feel
drop
like I'm being...
F-bombs?
Yeah, I love dropping F-bombs,
Yeah.
but I'm being myself right now. I don't think you can do this on radio or on TV when someone
cannot.
interviews you or Newsmax, like you say, Mickey.
Yep.
Like, I really feel this is the best medium. It gets people. You see who people are, and you're more like yourself.
Well, you talked about authenticity in the courtroom. This is where we get to be authentic because we don't have the FCC, telling us what we can
they're
and
coming
can't
for
say.
us. But I have a feeling they're going to be coming for us soon. So,
But we got you, because you signed that paperwork
You got
that says
me.
you're also going to represent us in court if anything happens.
I got you.
Yeah, that
Free,
was a
free of
small
charge,
print.
right?
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Eric, let me ask you, why is it that the stand your ground stuff comes up when I Google you?
So we had a police officer. It was during a time when Mike Satz, who was the elected state attorney. State attorneys in this county are elected in the state of Florida. For many years, he was the state attorney. Mike was a great prosecutor. It was an election year. I think that the politics were changing, and this is just my perception of what happened, right? My opinion of what happened. And there was a deputy. He was young. He was on duty. There was a young man who was marching down Dixie Highway, and he had a rifle, and that rifle looked really real. It turns out it's an air rifle, but we brought that air rifle in the courtroom because the deputy gets indicted, and all these people were calling 911. There's a man, he's marching, he's like a soldier down the highway, and all 911 was getting a million calls.
Yeah.
And my deputy followed this young man based upon the calls, and the young man walks into a community. Turns out the young man lived in the community, and the young man has this rifle, and the deputy says, "Drop, drop, stop." And the young man, who I think was having mental health issues at the time, didn't drop, turns and points the weapon towards children in a pool. My deputy fires one shot. Turns out it was an air rifle, and the state attorney's office indicted him. I believe it was political reasons. That's when the political climate had changed. We had gone from pro-law enforcement to anti-law enforcement. That pendulum keeps on swinging, and they took it in front of a grand jury, and you can indict a ham sandwich if you want, because the prosecution is in charge of the grand jury, and this young deputy got indicted for murder. And I filed a stand your ground motion, that he was immune from prosecution, that he was in a place where he had a right to be, and what he did was lawful, and you should dismiss the case. And the prosecutor said, no, he doesn't get to use that because he's not a person. I shit you not. That was the argument, because the statute said any person, didn't say law enforcement. Law enforcement had a different statute which deals with affirmative defenses, and the judge agreed with me. The judge almost lost an election because of it, because he got tied up in the politics, but the state didn't go away in their little sandbox and take their toys and go home. They appealed it, went to the next appellate court. Every one of the appellate judges agreed with us. We got every one of them, and then they appealed it to this Florida Supreme Court, which was cool, because now I'm going up to the Florida Supreme Court on a cool argument where I'm like, you guys got to be dumbasses. Of course police officers are, not the Supreme Court. You guys are not dumbasses. Don't edit that. They are great and fantastic. You being the prosecution theory in this case, like, why are you taking this to the Supreme Court? Any person can use the law. And the Supreme Court, I respect the Supreme Court.
Yes, we love.
Agreed.
Big Supreme Court
and
guys.
said that, yes, they are people too, any person, and we won. So we got that all police officers can use stand your ground. And I've since used it for many officers that have been in trouble. I'll represent anyone. When someone gets anyone that
careful
I'm
saying that.
not
There's a lot of
anyone.
people in this room.
They get when I
Little
want to take a
suspect.
case, but when I say anyone, here's what I mean. I've had judges I've represented. Sometimes judges get the tagline defendant. Lawyers I've represented, they get the tagline defendant. Doctors, athletes. When you become a defendant, anyone should, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, you should have the same rights as everyone else. And I represent a lot of law enforcement now, and I love the men and women in blue and what they do for us. And the firefighters, they all hire me a lot now, and they used to see me because they used to see me in court. And I love representing them, but I'll represent anyone. And people don't understand that just because someone's a judge or someone's got money, that it's not about that. It's about protecting their rights, because when you get in court and you get that tagline, the D, the defendant, you need to have your rights fought for you, no matter what your background is.
What's your take on a lot of these shows with lawyers and attorneys and all that?
I used to love to read John Grisham's books. My favorite was The Firm. I can't watch them anymore. I think when I was an aspiring attorney, it was cool. Like, I would go out and I would buy T-shirts that would have gavels. Like, look, I'm a lawyer. Check me out. How cool.
It was like your whole identity.
Yeah. And then, like, when I became a lawyer and I start living it, unless it's real, I can't take it. Like, I don't like that it's fake. I like real shit. My wife says, why are you always watching shows, these docudramas, if that's the right word, where the wife's getting killed? I mean,
my
I
wife
like the
loves
date.
those. I'll walk in.
My wife
like,
says I love those.
Her eyes were cut off. Her ears were cut off. Her legs were cut off. She was found in a ditch with other people's bodies. I'm like, how are you relaxing while listening and watching this?
Like, nothing to see here, honey.
Like,
People fall asleep.
That's how she winds down at the end of the night while drinking some wine. Like, what?
You don't need an NDA, baby. You need a restraining order. So be very, very careful.
I get scared. I go to bed and I'm like, what if she's getting ideas on how to dispose of my body in my sleep?
She knows how to do it.
You know what I mean? Like, she's
my
watched
wife
enough
says
of
the
these.
same. I like those shows. So I like the God, I'm having a brain fart here. I like watching the
What about
documentaries.
Judge Judy?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funny. Yesterday,
real.
when I was supposed to be in court, I was watching Judge Judy. I don't know. I think she's cool. I like how much money she's made. I think she's a great marketer. I think her and her husband are great, but I don't love Judge Judy's
Why don't
show.
you do something like that?
I like what I do. I like being in a courtroom.
You'd rather actually be in court than pretending to be in court on TV.
I thought that was a
Yeah.
real court. That's not a real
No,
court.
bro.
The
That's not
people's
real.
court.
I think that they sign a contract and they say that this is going to be handled this way, but I don't know how real it is.
People make it up. I have a friend that was on one of those court shows with his girlfriend, and they pretended to have some kind of issues. Yeah. It's not real.
That's just popped the bubble, you know, the
Oh,
reality.
I'm sorry. Did I ruin it for you?
You're telling me that the Kardashians isn't real too?
No, that's real.
Okay, good.
The new year is a time to be thoughtful about what you add to your routine. Azure Well offers vitamins and supplements with unparalleled purity, designed with intention and everyday use in mind. Azure Well focuses on foundational supplements that support consistency rather than short-term trends. If you value whole food supplements and potency in your wellness choices, learn more about our family-owned company and our approach at azurelivingwell.com. These products have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
If you're building software of any kind, you're really going to want to check out Sentry. When something goes wrong, Sentry gives you a whole chain of events in one place, from errors, traces, replays, logs, and it's all connected. So you can see exactly what led to the issue without digging through 5 different dashboards. Sentry is used by millions of developers behind some of the biggest apps like Claude, Disney Plus, and Duolingo. Sentry supports over 100 languages and frameworks across front-end, back-end, and mobile. Try it free at sentry.io.
Since you've tried so many cases, do you have like a classic Florida man style case where like this guy was making out with an alligator and then did something? Like, do you have anything super outlandish like that where you had to defend some Florida man? Why? Because they're all Florida men? Every single one of them?
No, because I've had some crazy cases from like silicone pumping parties where
excuse me?
What's a pumping party? Yeah.
I was on Dateline many years ago. It was my first high-profile case. I was appointed by then Chief Judge Peter Weinstein, who's no longer on the bench, and sometimes you'll get appointed to cases. And there was a woman, and she got caught up, and she was heterosexual, but in the transgender community, and there were these pumping parties. And at the pumping parties, they would not, I don't know about the decedent, but it was alleged that they would do cocaine and they would pump industrial-grade silicone, caveat emptor, buyer beware, careful what you do, but industrial-grade silicone into the buttocks.
Oh, like filler?
Yeah. And this woman had an embolism and died and got charged. And my clients, there was a man and a woman living together. This is like in 2002. It was a very high-profile case back then. was charged with unlawful practice of medicine without a license and manslaughter because of the embolism. And our defense was because there were old injection sites, old track sites, and silicone migrates in the bloodstream because at any point in time, it wasn't instantaneous, and there wasn't a doctor who could say that you're going to have an automatic embolism. They tried because they would have witnesses that would come in there that had like huge buttocks, huge breasts, and they were ticking time bombs was our argument. And there was an evidence that someone else had been pumping the decedent before. So our defense was you can't prove that injection
was the one that killed her.
So he ended up being convicted by a jury. We won on appeal because we appealed it, and the manslaughter got overturned. And I think he pled to the medicine count of unlawful practice of medicine without a license and got time served. But that was a crazy case. As far as a Florida man case,
that sounded like a Florida man. Was that even here?
Florida is the best place in the world to be a criminal defense attorney because people are fucking crazy down here.
You get creative.
Everything happens,
right?
Everything happens down here. So I had the silicone pumping party. I was like my cousin Vinny. I went up with a Jewish guy, Sheila Zolnor, who's Persian, Anthony Bruno, who's Italian. We went to Glades County. A guy went up there, was riding a motorcycle around Lake Okeechobee, got into a DUI manslaughter, killed his fiance, and we went up there for like 2 weeks. I'm like the jurors. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're going to think of us. So we joined like an Elks Lodge where I would get a free steak dinner, and every night we were trying the case to the people in the Elks Lodge, and we were hanging out in the bars and getting to know the people and learning about what they think about authority and prosecutors, and we won the case that way. But that was a real Glades County, real old Florida, motorcycle, DUI manslaughter, and a very fascinating case.
While you think about that, earlier you were talking about like cartels and mobsters that you might have represented. Do you ever fear retaliation from some of these people if you don't win a case for them? Like, do you feel extra pressure in those instances?
The more successful you get, you do more high-profile stuff. And I've had some interesting, and I would consider probably dangerous clients. And I've sometimes you sleep with one eye open. People ask, how do you sleep at night? I always say next to my beautiful wife or next to a beautiful woman. But I've had judges had to sign court orders putting police cars
like outside
in my
your
driveway
house and
for
stuff?
protection for threats.
Wow.
But I feel safe. Listen, it's a crazy world we live in. I love what I do. I feel safe for the most part. I think my clients are happy with me. It's not just clients though. So you worry about witnesses, you worry about victims, but yeah, I mean, sometimes it gets a little rough, but there is a cultural thing. Like my Russian clients are, you better win this case, duh. And I'm like, oh shit. And I remember I won a case, I didn't think I was going to win it. The Russian guy turned to me. He was accused of stabbing someone's eyeball with a screwdriver. And we'd already won 2 other trials he did. He's like, you're lucky you won that, Schwartzreich. That's a bad accident.
Stop.
I'm like, shit. I'm like, what happens if I didn't win? I
would have quit right there. I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to go and be a dog groomer or something. I'm not doing this no more.
And I think that my name should be Jesus because every time I win a trial, it's like, thank you, Jesus. I'm like, it's Eric, but I'll take it. I don't know what's happening there, but people find religion. It's true story.
All right.
When they're in there.
Jesus, a.k.a. Eric, let me ask you one final question. When a client walks into your office just terrified, what do you tell them to make them more comfortable and assure them that you're going to take care of them?
So that's hard, right? Because everyone cries in my office when they first come in there because it's stressful.
Yeah.
And they're accused sometimes that they've been in trouble before of awful things or it's their first time. I look at the facts. I'm objective. I tell them I'm going to fight for them, if like their family, and that it's all doom and gloom. And let's look at the positives. And I focus on the positives. I don't want to bullshit them though, because if you're going to bullshit a client or anyone or a jury, you're never going to get anywhere in life. I'm just honest with them. But my attitude, I'm a positive person. So I think that gives them comfort. I'm surprised sometimes when they hire me, but I think it's because they see the positivity. And I think that goes a long way. And I think that's part of success in life. You got to believe, man. If you don't believe, you're going nowhere. You got to believe. And I'm always believing. I'm like Journey, right?
Don't stop believing.
Who left? Who was the guy from Journey that left? Steve Perry? Is Journey still Journey without Steve Perry? People go see them.
I don't know what they have right now. Adam
I'm really digging
They're doing pretty well
now.
still,
I think that, yeah.
I know, but I used to like Steve Perry.
Their audience is...
I liked his hair. It was cool.
Your hair's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got
thank
to
you.
see it today, hanging out with you. If people want to find you, where can they?
They can find me at FloridaLawyerDefenseTeam.com or Eric Schwartzreich, or everyone has my cell phone. It's 954-873-8228. Now, that's my friend Leslie Maester's cell phone. You can call him 24 hours a day. He likes that.
Damn.
You got that, Leslie? They're coming for you. No, that is my cell phone.
Eric, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. You guys are awesome. Thank you.